So I am the second youngest of 6 children. Growing up, I used to look at my mom as if she was the Madonna. She did everything right. Every night, everything was on the table. We had a vegetable, we had a salad, we had a meat. It was all prepared so nicely. She cleaned up, after every meal. She had our clothes washed and in our drawers. And she was constantly doing something for us. So probably the first 8 years of my life, I thought, oh my gosh, this woman is a saint. She is a living saint, and I want to be just like her. What can I do to be like her? So every day I think about, how can I be more like Mom? And I put different ideas together in my head, and what would I cook when I had kids, and how would I treat my husband, and how would I play with my children? But as I got older, I started noticing her doing little things, like she suddenly picked up smoking at 35. Who starts smoking when they're 35? A stressed out mother of fucking 6 kids. That's who starts smoking at 35. And then I noticed her one old-fashioned before dinner became 2 old-fashions after dinner. And then maybe another old-fashioned after the one that's after dinner. And then as we'd be driving down the road, we'd all be ready to go somewhere looking fabulous and perfect, and someone out of nowhere would vomit in the back seat all over their new jacket, and they'd be, don't you get? And I thought, oh my gosh, this poor woman, her life is crumbling before her eyes. She's turning into an alcoholic. She has Nick fits every other day, no matter where she is, and she'd be on the phone talking to her girlfriends, and if she couldn't reach her cigarettes, she'd do this. And I'm like, oh my God, Mom is having another Nick fit. But on top of that, if we'd come running through the room like, woo, yeah, party, yeah, let's get in, she would start banging on the walls again. And this was what I remember my mom doing all the time as she banged on walls, talked on the phone, and called for us. So I started to think to myself, you know what? I don't want to be a mom. I don't want to do this. There's no way I could do this. This is one of the worst jobs in the world. Who signs up for this shit willingly, okay? So I thought, I am not gonna. But then, of course, I meet a guy. I'm 21. And I decide to get married. He asks me to get married, and I say, yeah, whatever. Okay, I'll try it out. You know what? Let's just do it. All my friends, because that's what you do, are having babies. 21, having babies, one after another after another. I thought, no, I am not. I am going to have children, and they are going to be raised differently. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not going to do any of that. No. I'm going to be loving and nurturing, and I'm going to be awake all the time, and I'm not going to have this awful time, watching my children run around and just getting pissed off. So I get married. I wait about 10 years to have a kid, okay? So I have my first kid, and my boobs are out to here. And I started out with a C cup, now I'm a double D. I find myself getting out of bed, putting my bra on like this. I am actually picking up my breasts and putting them in my bra, just like my mother did all the time. I have visions of her. I'll be right down. True. After 6 kids, that's what happens. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have boobs like my mom. I swore I would never, ever have boobs like my mom. So, have my kid, hanging out, sitting around. Suddenly I find myself, do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. I'm like, oh my God, that's my mom. Out of nowhere, she would come up with some melody from no song that had nothing to do with anything that was going on. Do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm turning into my mom. And then all of a sudden I'd look and I'd be like, it's a guitar on the wall, guitar on the wall, guitar on the wall, guitar on the wall. Myself doing the same thing, singing about stupid shit for no reason. So I felt, after my first child, my mind just started slipping away. So what did I do? No, I didn't stop having children. I had another child. And then I felt it kind of pulling away even more. I thought, no, this is not the time. I need to be more present now. So I said, you know what? I'm going to sit down and watch a movie with my children. That's what I'm going to do. I laid down on the couch, and then a little bit later, my husband's like, honey, time to wake up. Movie's over. I'm like, oh my God, that was my mother. She never saw a movie. She would lay down, and then we'd tell her what happened at the very end, and then she'd pretend like she was actually awake the entire time. I'm like, okay, I'm doing the same thing. I really am, yeah. And then, you know what, I didn't stop. I said, you know what, screw it, let's just have another one. Why not? You know what, 3. So I have my 3rd kid, and I find myself staring at them now. Almost like a crazy person, you know? And I look over, and I used to like clean their faces and wipe shit off their mouths and everything, but now I can't help myself. I'm looking at them, and I see some green crust on their nose. And I cannot help myself. And I just get in there and just dig it. The little ones don't know because they're innocent. But the older ones know. They'd see me coming with my pinkies, and they'd run. And I swear to God, I'd fucking tackle their asses down and pull that booger out of there. I did. And then I started like seeing other kids and wanted to pick their boogers. And then I do a sympathy pick on my own child because I couldn't get the boog out of that kid. It was awful. So what do? I have a 4th kid. Fucking stupid, right? Okay, so I have another one. Now this one has nasal problems, okay? And he can't breathe for days on end. So what I do is I like get the neti pot out, and I perform surgery, and I get him to blow out of one and then shoot it out of the other. And then I started taking pictures. And I'd compare one boog to the next boog to the next boog. Consistency, crunchiness, juiciness. I'm like, what is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? And you know what? My mother, her whole life, had those 2 pinky nails. I'm telling you what, she wasn't a coke addict. She fucking picked the shit out of our nose as children. And that's where I get it. That's where I get it. And you know, like around, let's see, when my 4-year-old was about, my 4th child was about 4 years old, I noticed I was putting on some weight. And I'm like, okay, this is so not cool. This is so not cool. I need to really like start journaling. You know, that's what they say, journal what you eat. Okay, you know, then you'll know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, so I started doing that. So every morning I'd have a half a pancake. I'd have a half of a Pop-Tart that was sitting in the backseat of the car. Then I'd eat about a half a bag of goldfish, along with the ones that were all scattered over the back of the car. Piece of a fruit roll-up. Then I would scrape the mac and cheese out of the bottom of the pan, and I'd eat that too. And then anything that came home from school from the 4 of them, okay, so imagine me eating 4 kids' leftover crap. I was as big as a house. Big as a house. And I thought, you know what? I need to stop doing this. So the more I got conscious about it, as I'm sitting at the table, I'd suddenly like ask them for their plates. I'm like, are you going to finish that? Are you going to finish that? Colin? Give it to your mom. Just give it to me. Give me the milk. Pass it down. Give it to your mother. Your mother is hungry. And they started thinking, what is up with Mom? Well, you know what? Mom likes to eat a lot. And I thought, you know what? I specifically remember my entire life, Mom and Dad eating all of our leftovers. My dad used to sit at the end of the table and we'd pass down all of our grizzle, our bones, anything that was left on the plate. He would eat it. He was like a human garbage can. And I'm like, I have turned into a human garbage can. I am. It is me now. And so I started trying diet after diet after diet. I mean, whose parent wasn't on a diet? Both of them were on a diet my entire life. So I'm like, okay, so now I'm picking noses, I'm yelling at my kids, I don't even know their names. I still, like your parents should go through the, Fiona, Seamus, Kylie, Ozzy, damn it, Ozzy's the dog. I'm calling now, I've come to the point where I'm now calling my children my dog's name. And you know what, I'm okay with that because even though I'm picking noses and I'm eating crap off of people's plates and I'm on diets 24/7 and I'm doing this shit now and this and well, I don't smoke cigarettes, but I'm doing all that stuff and all that sign language. I'm doing it just like my parents did to me. And that's okay, because you know what, I've realized after preparing for this, I am my mother. There's so much about me that is my mother, and if you would have asked me 3 weeks ago, I would have been like, oh shit, I'm nothing like my mother. My sister's here tonight, she's like, what are you gonna do? You're not like mom. And I'm like, oh my God, I am. I am my mother's daughter, and she is alive and well, and I wish you could be here today to hear about it. So thank you guys so much. Make your kids know